Okay, so today we're going to be tying a simple cranefly larva pattern. And I came up with this pattern when I was walking along a creek and saw a cranefly larva drifting in it. And they really don't look like much until you're up close. They just kind of look like drifting sticks, but they do have a segmented body and they do have a bit of legs, which I gave the effect of using peacock herl. For this fly, you will need a size 12 hook and a tungsten bead. For these flies, I use a 2.7 millimeter gold bead. You will also need black crystal flash for the ribbing, olive dubbing for the body, and of course peacock herl for the thorax. To begin this fly, take your hook with your 2.7 millimeter bead already placed on it. Take your thread, which for this fly I use this is 72 denier black thread. It's 8/0, and it's a pretty universal size for tying really from sizes 10 and under, unless you're tying streamers, all the way up to like 22. It's a very universal size. So now you're going to trim your excess thread and bring your thread base to the back of the hook around where the barb of the hook is. Next, you're going to want to take your strand of crystal flash and trim it so that it's not as long. You want a fairly solid amount since you are using it as a tinsel to rib the fly. Tie it all the way down and bring your thread back to the base of where you tied it in. Next, you're going to take your light olive dubbing and twist it into the thread to form a tight dubbing noodle. I do this fly with small amounts at a time so that I can get a better idea of the taper I'm getting. Continue the process, getting a slight taper. You want to bring your dubbing around to the point where I would leave just over a bead of space for you to tie in the thorax of peacock herl. So I'm right where I want to be with this. Next, you're going to take your crystal flash and pinch it fairly lightly along the base. Stroke your fingers back, not allowing it to slip, and it will flatten itself out as a tinsel. Do it again so that it's fully flat and has no curves. Next, take your rotary vise if you have one. If you do not, just simply twist the flash around the body and bring your crystal flash all the way up. I keep a small amount of space between the wraps so that it gives it a tight but segmented appearance. Next, you're going to want to take your peacock herl, which is what gives the effect of a thorax and legs. When I tie this fly, I use 2 or 3 strands to give it a larger profile. Take your strands and align them like so, and trim them around where they all have enough material to use. Lay them all down together and take tight wraps to secure them to the hook shank. You can twist yours up, however, I prefer to just leave mine as so. Now, you're going to use your rotary function again, although if you do not have one, you of course can wrap it around again. Take tight wraps to capture the peacock herl with your thread, and trim the excess. Take a few wraps to shove down the excess tag end that you've created. And now, all you're going to need to do with this fly is whip finish. Take your whip finisher and get in as many turns as you easily can without damaging the profile or appearance of this fly. Once you're done, trim your thread, and your fly is now complete. When fishing this, I recommend it's a good still water pattern, especially for the slower areas along creeks. and I recommend just tossing it, as it's not great to sight fish since it's not highly visible, but it's a highly effective pattern throughout the year for me, although I mainly fish for panfish, so it could be different for trout. But these craneflies can be, like I said, a highly productive pattern, even bass on these, because it just looks so natural. It's such a natural pattern with very natural colors, and it casts well because it has a good bit of weight. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and check out my Instagram at Flies and Finesse, as well as my Etsy at The Fly Tie Guy, where I'll be selling some of the flies I tie for you.